The venue door was locked when the bus pulled in at 5 p.m. What followed was a night no one in the Revue ever spoke about again. It was September 1969. The tour had been running for 11 weeks. Alabama was the 14th state. The venue was a converted textile warehouse on the edge of a small town, which had booked the Ike and Tina Turner Revue through a promoter in Birmingham who had, it turned out, not communicated adequately with the venue about the specific requirements of a full band setup with professional-grade sound. The driver confirmed the address twice. The building matched. The door was locked. Ike got off the bus first, the way Ike always got off the bus first, with the forward motion of a man who operated on the assumption that whatever was in front of him would move when he arrived. He knocked. He waited. He knocked again. 15 minutes later, a man in a work shirt appeared from the side of the building and explained, with the flat delivery of someone whose job it was to explain things he had not caused, that a pipe had burst overnight. The stage had 6 inches of standing water. The show was not possible. The promoter had been notified. The promoter had not, apparently, notified the bus. Ike said several things. The man in the work shirt waited for him to finish. The bus sat in the parking lot. The Ikeettes remained in their seats. Tina stood near the front of the bus and looked through the windshield at the building and said nothing. What came next was a series of phone calls from a payphone outside the building. Ike and the tour manager working through the logistics of a canceled show. The calls went on for 90 minutes. While they went on, Tina organized the food situation. There was a diner visible from the parking lot. She sent 2 of the band members to get whatever was available in bulk. She did this without being asked, which was how she did most organizational things, having already calculated what was needed before anyone else had finished registering the problem. By 8 p.m., the cancellation was confirmed, and the compensation was not. The tour manager had found 2 motels in the vicinity. He had called both. The first motel had no vacancies. The second had vacancies. The second motel did not rent to them. This was 1969 in a small Alabama town, and the specifics of what the second motel said when the tour manager explained who was looking for rooms do not need to be elaborated for anyone who understands the geography of that year. The tour manager came back to the bus. He explained the situation with the careful neutrality of someone who had explained this particular situation before and had developed a language for it that kept his own response contained. Ike said one thing. He got back on the bus. The bus was where they would sleep. By 10 p.m., the driver had parked behind the warehouse, where the lot was dark and flat, and there was nothing visible in any direction except fields. The September night was warm, the kind of warm that Alabama nights are, a weight in the air that reminds you the day is not entirely over. The Ikeettes organized themselves in the back seats. The band members spread across the middle. The driver slept in his seat. The tour manager sat near the front with a clipboard and the expression of a man writing down numbers that would not add up. Ike sat in the seat behind the driver. He had the particular stillness that came over him sometimes after a problem had been fully encountered and there was nothing left to do about it. A stillness that was different from calm and different from acceptance and had its own quality that people who spent time around him learned to recognize. Tina sat across the aisle. She had a jacket over her legs. She was looking out the window at the dark fields. For a while, nobody talked. The sounds were the specific sounds of people trying to find sleep in spaces designed for sitting, shifting, settling, the occasional low exchange between the Ikeettes. After an hour, it was quiet enough that you could hear the fields outside. Tina didn't sleep. She was thinking about the motel. Not with bitterness, not exactly. Bitterness required a level of surprise that she had stopped being capable of years ago. What she felt was something more precise, a recognition, a cataloging of the specific mechanics of how this worked. The tour bus in the dark lot, the locked motel, the field stretching out to nothing, the year being 1969 and not some other year. She thought about the Grammy they didn't have yet, about Proud Mary, which they hadn't recorded yet, about what the industry would call them in 2 years when the award came, and what the industry called them now, which was something different. She thought about the gap between those two things, and what it meant that the gap was located in time rather than substance, that the work was the same, the voice was the same. What was different was only the willingness to see it. Around midnight, Ike said, without turning from the window, "You're still awake?" She said, "Yes." He was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that Tina never mentioned in the years when she finally began to speak about those years. Not because it was cruel. She was accustomed to cruelty and had long since built the walls required for it. But because it was honest. And honesty from Ike, in those particular hours, was a more complicated thing to carry than cruelty. What he said was, "I'm going to get us out of Alabama." She understood that he meant more than geography. He meant the category, the circuit, the locked motels and the dark parking lots and the work that produced no Grammy, not yet. He meant the accumulated architecture of limitation that surrounded them, and the plan he had been building inside it, the same plan he had always had, the one that required her voice the same way an engine requires fuel. She said, "I know." She meant it, and she meant other things alongside it that there was no space to say. By 4 a.m., some of the musicians were sleeping. Ike's breathing had slowed. The tour manager had put down his clipboard. Tina sat with her jacket on her lap and watched the sky outside the window begin the slow process of becoming morning. The dark thinning at the edges first, the fields coming back into outlines, the particular pale quality of the hour before sunrise that looks like neither night nor day. She thought about how many mornings she had watched arrive from the wrong side of a window, in a bus or a car, or a backstage corridor, or a hotel room where sleep had not come. She thought about the accumulation of those mornings, what they had produced collectively, what they cost. The driver woke at 6. He started the engine. By 8 a.m., they were across the state line. By noon, they were in the next city, the next venue, the next show. The parking lot in Alabama receded into the sequence of things that were not spoken about because there were too many of them to speak about, and the next city always needed your full attention. Ike got them out of Alabama. That part was true. The Grammy came. The rooms got larger. The motel conversation never happened again in the same terms. What also remained, undiscussed, was a night in September 1969 in a dark parking lot where Ike Turner told Tina Turner something honest, and she believed him. And the morning came anyway, and found them both still there. If this story stayed with you, if that parking lot felt like something you recognized, there are more waiting here. Subscribe and stay close. There is always more to the story.